What's up, YouTube? Defcunning TCG, and I'm here to show you guys an interesting deck that I played this last weekend at the Hartford Regionals. And now, this deck is not your run-of-the-mill Lost Box deck. There are some interesting cards in here, mainly the Aerodactyl V-Star. Now, Aerodactyl V-Star I wanted to include in this deck due to the high amount of Arceus and Lugia that were at this event. And I assumed we're going to be going to the second day in the cup that I played in. During the main event, I played Lost Box Kyogre. I went 5-2-2, so I barely missed day 2, but, you know, can't win them all, can't always convert, so took the knowledge from day 1 and decided to make this pile going into day 2, I would say. Or not day 2, into, you know, the second day of the tournament being the cup that I played in. And I actually managed to finish second place in the cup, and I felt like this deck felt insane all day. I was able to hit Colress's consistently due to the addition of Ultra Ball and Lumineon. Aerodactyl helps a lot in the Arceus and Lugia matchups where I felt were this deck's worst matchups, or this deck struggled against it the most out of any deck. And for some reason, there is 2 regular ropes and a Gold Escape rope, and I'm just now noticing that. So just know that there are 3 ropes in the deck. I guess TCG Live can't even import decks correctly, but it's whatever. I have made a couple of changes to this deck since then, so I'm going to be going over what I played in this deck and then what I would play going forward after I look at the matchups. So, before we look at the matchups, I'm going to kind of give my thought process on why I wanted to play Aerodactyl. So, Aerodactyl has a pretty good attack in Lost Lives. It does 240 damage, and then you take the top 3 cards of your deck, you put them in the Lost Zone. So, if you're able to get to that 7 number, to be able to use Mirage Gate, and then you attack with Aerodactyl, it will then get to that 10 number to attack with Sableye. So, a lot of the times against my opponents playing Lugia, I would turn 1, you know, set up my board, turn 2, do the Ancient Star, turn 3, attack with Lost Dive. It gets a good amount of chip on their board. It doesn't kill Lugia, but it puts them with 1 HP remaining. And then the next turn I can rope my Aerodactyl out of the active, put up Sableye, and start damaging my opponent's board. It's nice because, you know, it gets Aerodactyl out of the active, so a lot of the times they have to 2-shot Aerodactyl, even if they're able to accelerate a bunch of energy to in Lugia early, like they get DTE attach and then attach again and attack. They have to 2-shot it, and they have no way of searching their boss. They have to raw draw boss. So being able to put that Sableye in the active, it's a nice 1-prizer. You're able to spread some damage around and kind of set up for some knockouts later in the game, even with stuff like Raikou, additional Sableye, Greninja, Dragonite. If they were to evolve a Lugia to a V-Star, you can put 6 damage counters on it, and it puts it in range of Dragonite's attack through V-Guard energy, which is nice. Also, the Aerodactyl V attack came up a lot, so it is fighting colorless, does 120 damage, and then discards an energy from your opponent's active. I felt like that attack was really good against the Arceus decks. You're able to knock off their DTE on the V-Star if you go second, and against Duraludon, you can knock off their fighting energy, so it makes it a lot harder for them to attack. And the rest of the deck is pretty self-explanatory. You know, it's got Forest Seal Stones, Beach Quartz, you know, a bunch of turbo stuff to be able to go through your deck. I would say the worst card of my deck throughout the day was Raihan. It won me 1 game, but I think going forward I probably would not play it. But I'm going to give you guys a look at the matchups I played. So, let me see, I do have some notes on my phone. So, round 1, I played against what I assume is Zard, because I unfortunately donked my opponent. They went Sableye Pass. Unfortunate start to the day for them, but hey, it's Pokemon. It's happened to me before as well. And then round 2, I played against Mew. I was able to win the die roll, and Aerodactyl locked my opponent, which is really good. Same thing with round 3. The combination of Aerodactyl plus Drapion is huge for this deck. Round 3, I played against Arceus, Duraludon, Umbreon. This is the game that Raihan won me the game. My opponent judged me and knocked out a Sableye. I was able to draw Raihan and then go Raihan, attach Fighting to Aerodactyl, and then search Mirage Gate attach to energy, and knock out Arceus V-Star for game. Round 5, I played against a Turbo Lost Box. My opponent struggled for a couple turns to find a Colress. The nice thing about this variant is that you do have the 2 Ultra Ball and the Lumineon, so it's relatively easy to find Colress in this deck compared to other Lost Box decks, because you have 2 Forest Seal Stone, 2 Ultra Ball, a Colress, and a Lumineon. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 outs to Colress, which is really nice, because the average Lost Box deck, you know, only has 2 Seal Stone and 4 Colress, so that's 6 Colress. I have an extra 3 Colress in my deck, so I'm able to see it a lot faster. So you can get to that Sableye quicker than them normally. And the nice thing about Lumineon too is you can attack with Lumineon, and Greninja is really good in the mirror for soaking up damage from Cramorant. So a lot of times what I'll do is, even if I put down Luminion and I'll retreat into it and my opponent will hit it for 110, and then I can Mirage Gate to it, shuffle it back into the deck, put up Ninja, and then it's really hard for my opponent to attack around it, especially if you have like Manaphy on the bench, which is really nice. And then let's see. So that matchup, I would consider all the matchups I played against for the first 5 rounds of Swiss to be favorable. I think that Sable's Art is favorable for this deck. Mew is favorable. If you go first, it's like a 60-40. If you go second, it's like a 55-45. I still think it's favored for you because of the Drapion plus Clara. A lot of them are only playing like 1 Lost City, so it's a lot harder for them to permanently get rid of your Drapion. And then for round 4, Arctic Umbreon is like slightly unfavored if you go first. If you're able to get the Aerodactyl down and they don't Trinity Charge, it's probably super favorable. And if you go second, it's like definitely unfavored. It's like a 60-40 in their favor, I would say. And then round 5, yeah, obviously, I think Turbo Lost Box is favored for you. Even if you go first or second, it doesn't matter. Then, you know, I go 5-0, so I'm able to be in a really nice spot where I can ID twice going into the final. So I think my round 6 ID was Lugia, my round 7 ID was Lugia as well. So I knew 2 Lugias were going to make it in a cut. So I was feeling good about that. I think overall it was like 3 Lugia, a Guardy, 2 Lost Box, which ended up being my round 5 opponent, Jarek. And then I want to say there was 2 Arceus decks. I think one was Tina and one was the Dura. Not the same Dura I played against round 4, but a different Dura player, the one I ended up playing in the finals. And so that's moving on to top 8. So in top 8, I play against a Lugia player. He was super nice. And unfortunately for him, I won the die roll. I was able to Aerodactyl him. We go to game 2. You know, he gets ahead a little bit, and I want to finish game 3. So I go, you know what, you got this one. Let me go first. I also messed up damage on a Raikou. I thought I needed 4 bench Pokemon to kill him, but I actually needed 5 because of V-Guard energy. So I messed up the math on that, and it put him kind of ahead, so I just picked my cards up. Went to game 3, and then I Aerodactyl my opponent again. It was over. We went to top 4. I win the die roll again. I'm able to Aerodactyl my opponent turn 2. My opponent picks up their cards. They can't do anything. I go Aerodactyl, retreat into Raikou, boss up Lugia, kill Lugia. And then, yeah, my opponent scoops. My opponent goes first and gets a really good turn 1. They get like double Archeops and discard, Lugia and active, and obviously this deck doesn't play any disruption, as you can see. Even if I did play like a Roxanne, obviously you can't play a turn 1, so there's nothing you can really do about your opponent holding cards. So my opponent's able to get the turn 2 Lugia off, and it's a little too much pressure for that game. I don't think I drew particularly well that second game, so I go, alright, let me just go first. Go game 3, get Battle Pass for Aerodactyl. My opponent goes, I go, and I remember Colressing, and I flipped the top 4 cards, and I was like, oh man, this last card has to be Aerodactyl or Ultra Ball, and I'm in there. And the last card was Aerodactyl, and I went, slammed it, flipped the V-Star over, and then my opponent was attempting to power up a single strike Urshifu, the big one, and so I just like ninja'd it, and then he hit me for like 140, and then I was able to retreat, knock it out with Dragonite for game, I believe. And then I go to the finals. So the finals, my opponent prized both of their Dura Vs, I think, because my opponent goes Arceus pass. I go, I get the turn 1 or the turn 2 Mirage Gate, and I'm able to smack into his... Wait, did I go... Actually, I think I messed this up. I think I went... Because game 3, I went second. Yeah, I went second. I missed the turn 1 Mirage Gate, and I, like, don't do anything. I pass. My opponent goes a Starbirth. They set up. I hit him for 120 with the Aerodactyl. Look at the turn 2 Mirage Gate. I hit my opponent for 120 with the Aerodactyl, knocking off their DTE, putting 240 on the Arceus, which is huge. My opponent then retreats, smacks into me, does not get a choice while I'm left with 10 HP, and then I'm able to 240 the next Arceus V-Star, and then my opponent knocks me out, and they go, oh, I think they were like, oh, there's my Dura, and I was like, okay, retreat. I'll put up Comfy, Flower Selecting, Colress, retreat into Sableye, and then put 4 on both Arceus. I think my opponent also had a Zam. I went like 4-4-4, and then, yeah, my opponent didn't have any attacker set up, so they scoop. We go to game 2. Pretty long game 2. I think my opponent like barely squeaks it out. And then game 3, I go first, and my hand is like Ford Energy, Comfy, double switch card. And I go, well, this is going to be a really short game if I'm not able to get, you know, anything off of this Comfy. So I draw for turn, not a good card. And then I Comfy into like Energy switch card. And I was like, oh my god. I like super shuffle between every game with this deck too, because a lot of your stuff does get clumped up because of, you know, Recycler will put all your energy together. And then if you Clara, kind of, you know, gets all those Pokemon together in your hand. So you got to shuffle this deck pretty thoroughly throughout the rounds. My opponent was able to, you know, squeak that one out because I basically went second in a matchup where I was finally able to go first, and I wasn't able to get the Aerodactyl set up, which the Aerodactyl probably makes this matchup favorable if you're able to get it off, because your opponent can't Starbirth, which is huge, because then they have to have like Arc, double energy, big Arc, another attacker, a draw supporter, which is a lot of cards to just raw draw in hand. So my opponent's able to get the win. Shout out to my opponent. He was super nice. We ended up following each other on Twitter after the event. And I hope he pulled good from his booster box that he got, because, oh my god, I did not get anything good. The pricing was pretty disgusting. Let me show you guys. I actually made a post in Burbank City about it. And I think that's where a lot of the people that are going to watch this video probably saw me from. So I'm going to find it, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I found it. So here's the post that I made. Put me up to 258 CP. Not too bad. But for $25 entry, I got this bag, which, let's be real, no one ever uses these bags. I don't really know why they make them. I don't know, no one uses these bags. They're kind of ugly. I got this playmat, Reggie Drago playmat. It's like the worst playmat you could get, unfortunately. It's like the cheapest one. I got a Flareon plush, which is kind of cool. You know, it's an evolution, so, you know, at least someone maybe will buy it. I got this Leafeon V-Star box with my prize wall tickets, which the judges were super nice about. After my final match, they said, oh yeah, go walk around, but I guess they told everybody else that they were supposed to get their prize wall tickets to go exchange it for a prize. One of the judges was nice enough to walk over to the prize wall with me and make sure that I got a prize, because, you know, I played all day, and this was the prizing that we got for the event, was this bag of playmat and some socks. Shout out to my opponent in the finals. He actually swapped me. He had the Charmander socks, and I was like, hey yo, let me get those, I need that, because I personally am Bulb Gang. But that is the deck. Oh, actually, that's not the deck. So this is the updates that I've made to the deck. So as you can see, the changes from the last deck are, I added a 4th rope for some reason. There's one secret rare showing up here. So I added a 4th rope over the beach court. I think you just need more switching cards to kind of go a little bit faster. I took out 1 electric for fighting. Game 3 of the finals, I also priced kind of horrendous. I priced Heavy Ball Dragonite Fighting Energy. And with only 1 fighting energy in my deck, it's impossible to attack with Aerodactyl, which is one of the things that can help you mount a comeback. Let me see. What else were the changes? I added the 2nd vacuum, and I added the Zapdos V. I'm not too sold on Zapdos V. I did take out Raikou, but I think Raikou is pretty essential in the Lugia matchup, so it's going to find its way back in. I tried a similar build to this today at a League Challenge, and it played Zapdos and Raikou. I took out Boss's Order, which, I mean, it felt fine. I never was like, oh man, I really need Boss's Order right now, so might stay that way, but I don't know. It feels like a couple too many Vs. I might have to rework the deck to, you know, slim down on the V Pokemon a little bit, because it's not amazing always attacking with 2 prizes. You don't really want to attack with two prizes throughout the game. Arceus is maybe the only exception where you can go with like V-Star plus Dragonite and then, you know, clean up something with Sableye, because Aerodactyl is really good in the Arceus matchup, because you can Lost Dive an Arceus, kills that, they put up their Dura, they smack into you, you smack into Dura, and then you can kill the Dura with Cramorant or Sableye. So then your Aerodactyl basically is taking like 5 prizes for you, which is super nice, because in order for them to knock out Aerodactyl, they have to have Dura, Choice Belt, Hawlucha, Alakazam, which means they're not doing it to like Comfies and stuff, so that's nice. They can't take like random multiple prize turns on like your little guys, so that's super nice. But yeah, that is the deck that I played at the Hartford Cup, and I got 2nd place with, so pretty unique. I want to shout out Victor Ong. He was the originator of the deck, and my buddy Andrew Nunez. They were co-collaborators on the deck. I know they gave something similar to one of the pro players last year, and they got some pretty good top 4, top 8 result with it. So by no means is this my original deck, but it's just my take on it for this format. And I ended up messaging Victor the day after, or maybe the night of. I don't know. We had a 14-hour drive, so that whole drive is a blur to me. And he actually won a cup in Seattle, I believe, with something like 2 cards off of this. I believe he played like a Horn, and maybe he played Halucha, which I think Halucha might need a spot back in this deck. It's really, really good in the mirror, and I think this deck already accelerates in the mirror, but it probably just like stamps you. Like, you're gonna probably win the mirror 90% of the time. So thank you guys for watching. That's been the deck. If you guys want to see more content like this, hope I do well at events, like and subscribe. Have a good one.